welcome everyone that is here. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you all, and thank you for coming and showing your interest in a new senior center and where it might be located. We are happy to have Joel Bargman. He is the project architect with us again to present the findings from the feasibility study that was completed and submitted to the Board of Selectmen in June. I'm grateful for the participation of the Council on Aging Board, who has been with us through these steps, and who are here to help facilitate. After having heard the presentation at least one other time, maybe twice, and reviewed the study, which I'm sure many of you have as well. But I'd like to introduce the ones here, and there may be others joining us, and then of course there may be some who come to the 7 o'clock presentation as well. But down on the end I have Helen Jablonski. Thanks, Helen. And Leslie James. Our board chair currently is J.D. Miller, John Miller, and Lucille Sorrentino. We are here, all of us, the board and myself, and the staff, are here to help guide questions, comments, help identify and set priorities, some you may have as well, and answer questions pertinent to the senior center operations, activities, and what have you, if applicable. So I also, while I have the opportunity, I have a few staff members here right now, and I would like to introduce them for those of you who don't know them also. So down here in front with us is Jill Johnston. She's our administrative office coordinator, really does everything. And in the back, I have Laura Manier, who is our social services manager. And you know, I can't go without introducing our retired transportation coordinator, Q Cutler. I can't help it, she's there, and it's great to see her here. Gina's on vacation, and Jenny and Lisa will join us, but they're great staff, they work hard, and they are available for any of you who need them at any time, and they enjoy being part of the community that we serve. We all do. I do then, at this time then, let me mention I'm going to introduce Joel. And questions and comments are absolutely welcome, encouraged. We hope to have a good two-way discourse after the presentation, and the microphones are here for you to use if you have questions. However, if you have trouble getting up to those, then we will bring a microphone to you. But they are here, and I think for the most part we'd like them to wait until after the presentation of the details of the study. So I will now introduce and thank Joel Bargman for coming to us yet again. It's his third time down here in Scituate to present. He's with the firm Bargman, Hendry & Archetype, who had been selected to provide the study, to do the study for us from Boston. So we do have, I think, good visuals, good sound, and I think the air conditioning is coming on, in case anyone is feeling a little bit hot at the moment. We have called to have some help with that. So thanks for your patience with some of the newness of the center. They really opened it for us. They weren't quite ready for everything that we had wanted to do here today, but it seemed like the best space, and we really are grateful for those who are running around really trying to make this work for us. I guess I also might want to mention too, before you leave, that we do want to make sure we are able to get a sense of how you feel about things after the presentation and after some questions and comments may have been heard or questions answered. So, so we may do a little oral audio survey of the crowd, so hope that you'll remain for that as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Once again, my name is Joel Bargman, and I know a lot of you have seen this already, but I'll go through it again, and I think I'll go through it again at the same level, so those who haven't seen it get to see the entire presentation. And you all know these statistics, but this is presented for some of the other citizens of the town that may not know the percentage of over 60 in the town, which is now at 24%, and that the senior population has been doubling over just the past 15 years, and that projection is continuing to grow. That comes from a demographic analysis done by UMass Boston. And I know you also know the mission statements of the Senior Center Council on Aging from the website, but I think there's two things to understand or remember and to tell other people when they ask why do they need a senior center in town. A lot of some of the younger folks don't understand that the senior center is providing services as well as activities, and the provision of offices for tax assistance, health assistance, other programs is equally as important. It needs to go into a building to help that population cohort. And the middle one is interesting. We're meeting with another town a little bit further down the Cape, and they understand the impact of the aging population on town and want to make it better. And what they're doing, and I think is a really noble effort, is trying to quantify that effort for the town to show that having a proactive, well-functioning senior center ultimately saves the community in any number of direct and indirect ways financially. So what did we do here? We looked at 4 separate sites, and each site has a test fit. So I want to remember to keep telling you these are test fits. They're not the final design. They're to show you how a project could fit on the project, on the site. There will be another design phase for the project once the site's selected. And again, our goal is to present the facts of these 4 sites to you. We didn't make a conclusion as to which site was the preferred site as part of this study. The common denominator in all the studies is a block diagram that shows the program. There's a multi-purpose room on the ground floor, a lobby, some support spaces, program rooms on the second floor that are flexible for different types of recreational, educational, instructional use. The purpose of having this is to have a test fit that makes a certain amount of sense on the site and allows you to judge, how a site works. Is the multi-purpose room going to have a nice view to the outside? Is the drop-off and the entryway going to work nicely? So the purpose of the block diagram isn't necessarily to say this is the final diagram, but it's to help you get through the analysis. And I do want to emphasize that this report that was predated our site feasibility study was really instrumental in helping us understand the program. From that, we were able to assemble a block diagram, which the town had started before us, and we were able to develop a detailed program for the building. And again, it's preliminary, but the reason that that's important is that we don't just want to make up a number of parking spaces. We don't want to make up a number of metrics about your building. We want to say, when the building is fully occupied, we've gone through and looked at the rooms, and we've determined how many occupants may be in the building for different scenarios, and we can give you a range of parking requirements that's not just based on the town's zoning requirements. And the reason that's important is that when you use it, when you do the use-based analysis of parking, for example, we end up with the need for 85 cars on a regular basis, and maybe on a peak capacity, 115 to 120 cars. If you went purely by the zoning code, it would be a much lower number, which is unusual. So it's important to have the data that supports the conclusion of why we need a parking lot the size that we need it. Okay. Right. So the one issue on the senior center is there's an additional opportunity for caregiving opportunities that the folks that may be caring for other seniors in the community need a respite, need a break, need a place to come to, and those become more and more challenging with the town. All the evidence that UMass Boston found is that the need for services will continue to grow, and it's sort of, if you build it, it will come, and once you build a nice facility, that will also draw more folks. I think the thing that we took to heart from this is the need for flexibility, and that's looked at in the site analysis as well as the block diagrams. Okay, so the sites considered start on the sort of northern section, 620 Country Way, which is also the Purple Dinosaur Park, 85 Branch Street, which is the public library site, First Parish Road, which is the Gate School site, and 620 Country Way, which is, that should be Kent Street, which is the corner of Kent Street and Driftway. Just a little introduction to the sites. This is Purple Dinosaur, or 620 Country Way, and it currently has a ball field and a little playground, which is on this corner of the site, and it has a parking lot. The parking lot is about 6 feet, is here about 6 feet above the baseball field. The entry into the site is very concise, and what's really nice about this site is when you come out of the site, out of the entry road, you have very clear directional view in both directions, east and west. So we looked at two different sites here. One is by the ball field, and then one is up here on the edge of the road. The second site is this Gate School site, and it's currently has the old school, has a 1950s addition to it. There's a large playing field in the backyard, and there's a historical society building here. A couple of years ago, there was a feasibility study that removed the 1950s wing, so that wing came off. The new senior center was tucked in sort of behind the school, and an access road made its connection around the site. So we did look at that, and we did look at a couple of different alternatives. We looked at one that would put the building here next to the Historical Society building that might have better access, and we also looked at one up at the corner here, sort of at the front of Gate School on First Parish Road, that would give it more visibility to the street. One thing to remember about the Gate School site is you have First Parish Road and then Cudworth Road, which is the side road. That is a very interesting intersection. It's difficult to navigate if you're coming out in different directions, especially if you come out Cudworth Road from the Senior Center. It's very difficult to see some of the other roads, so that's one of the considerations as you begin to look at that site. One thing that we've been asked to look at was how to give the building, the Senior Center, some presence on the yard. So I think folks weren't wild about the Senior Center being tucked in behind Gate School where you couldn't see it from any of the streets. So we've made an effort on a number of these projects, opportunities to put the building where here it would be opposite the church on the Gate School property. It would have a more prominent frontage onto the public way. Third site is the Branch Street site, the public library. The public library is now finished and open. The area in yellow is the site that we were given to look at. This is the library building. We took some liberties and looked at a few other opportunities around here, namely possibly expanding this front yard and possibly looking at this corner of the site. One thing to remember about this site as we go through it is the amount of wetlands on the site. So you have two wetland areas that you can see are sort of pretty much filling this area by the time you get with the wetlands and the buffer zone. So it reduces the usable area of this rectangle to this piece and that. The nice thing about the library site is as you exit the site, again, like the Purple Dinosaur Park, you have nice visibility both east and west. The traffic is pretty calm and the visibility is good. So the last site is the intersection of New Kent Street and Drift Road, and then Kent Street's on the back side of the site. And that's an undeveloped, rather large site, but as you drive by it, I'm on the bike path here, and you can see the topography is just the leftover of the glacial moraine deposit. So it's quite varied across this site. So here you can see the bike path, the site goes up, then just a little bit ways down further, the site from the bike path drops down. So it's going up and down, and I'll address that in the design, but it's, as you look at the site, you might think, oh, it's too hilly, and there's too much cut and fill, and I think we try to address that in our feasibility study. And again, this site has really nice visibility east and west as you might exit out of the site onto New Kent Street. But then you all know that the traffic on New Kent Street does travel a little bit faster. So what we like to do is go through all sorts of criteria. There's 6 pages of data for each site, and we measure them all up against each other equally, so that the idea is to treat every site the same, unbiased, and present those facts. What do people think? They want to switch or keep going?
Would you like to see it on the bigger screen?
Sites are each looked at, and if you read the report, we've gone through the report sort of in a methodical way, analyzing each one against a set of criteria. And I won't do an exhaust, I'll do a sort of a summary of that. The first site is the Purple Dinosaur site. So there you have Countryway, the parking lot, the playground, the ball field. So Purple Dinosaur has 2 opportunities to it. One is in keeping with that idea of having the building have some frontage to the road. We put the building sort of up front here, and it absorbs the park. And then the parking lot is then in the rear of the building. You get 84 spaces, and then we have the supplemental spaces in the back. A lot of communities are going for this idea that the supplemental spaces are on stabilized grass or something other than asphalt, so that it's not a huge parking lot, it's not a huge heat island in the middle of the summertime, and it's a greener solution, and it's a more pleasant solution. You can sort of get a sense of the issue of this site. The building absorbs pretty much the entire front, so it's a small site. The site could also be used where you would come in and put the building in the back. That might make parking a little bit easier. So either opportunity is good. What we were looking is from the back side of the building where the multi-purpose room is, can there be a better orientation for the building by moving it back in the site? It doesn't seem to be that big of a difference. But you can see the site's tight. A couple other things about the site. The sewer system is not at this location, so this would need a septic system as part of the construction. And I know the towns have some experience with unsuitable soils for some of their building projects. So as part of this project, they had us do soil borings at each site. That while the soil here is fine, you do reach bedrock at 10 feet on this particular site. So if folks wanted to consider putting a basement in for storage, this probably isn't the location where that would go in very easily. The second site is, I'm sorry, one other thing about this is that in the cost estimates, we're not sure how they're going to put them together ultimately. So we gave a cost. This is absorbed in Purple Dinosaur Park, so if the neighbors feel that that needs to be replaced at some other site, the cost of that is put into the project, and it can be taken out or left in, depending on how folks see these sort of collateral impacts of the building. So what made me think of that is that at Gate School you have the walking track and the athletic field. If that field needs to be replaced either on this site or on another site, and that cost needs to be carried as part of the project, then that's been identified in the cost estimates. Gate School, you can see we took this field and we swung it around to the side here, and that opens up this area of the site for a potential senior center building that would have an entry off of Cudworth Street and then a nice big parking lot. So there's 30 spaces here for the tennis courts, the Historical Society, and then 20 spaces to support this building, the field, and maybe the interim use of the gates. And until we know what gates is used for, there would need to be additional parking provided for that. But what this does is it puts the entry and access off of Cudworth, and you saw the impact of that intersection and how that might be difficult to mitigate. So the other opportunity seemed to put the building up here where it's directly opposite First Parish Church, and it creates with the church, the building, and the Gate School sort of a little New England green kind of space. Town center, municipal buildings, institutional buildings fronting a green. And we tucked the parking behind. So it's a little bit different than what you saw a couple years ago where it had the parking in the front and the building in the back. We tried to put the building in the front, the parking in the back, and you can see that one of the issues of that is it begins to encroach on some of the neighboring properties. And this again, just to refresh your memory, is the one from a couple years ago where you come in Cudworth Street and First Parish, parking lot in the front, building in the back. So this is now the New Kent and Driftway and in Kent Street. And the utilities are in Kent Street, which is good because that's lower on the site than New Kent Street. So where we put the building, things flow down to this area of the site. This field happens to be partly in the theme of floodplain, and the corner of it is a wetland. So the usable area of the site is really up in this portion. And as you recall, I showed you those pictures of the site having that varied topography along Kent Street, New Kent Street. The idea of this diagram was you would put the building, get you some frontage on Kent Street, New Kent Street, let the parking sort of flow and exit out on Kent Street where you could exit onto a calmer street than here, but there would be an entry access, and you could even have another entry access off the Driftway. So it's a nice opportunity from an access point of view. The other design seemed a little bit nicer from the building perspective in that you have two entries off of New Kent Street. You have parking on either side of a building, and this is sort of the topographical, the highest altitude of the site. So if we take this portion of the site and put the building there, not only does it take advantage of some of the outdoor spaces, but it would have a very nice view out across the golf course and into the water. So when I presented this the last time, people didn't quite understand how that worked. And this is a diagram. So you have Kent Street, you sort of have a U-shaped driveway with two parking lots off to the side and the building in the middle. And a little bit more architectural of a drawing, but people asked again for this. Here you have the existing site. So you can see at one section it drops down, at another section of the site it goes up. So it's this varied topography. The concept of this project would be to locate the building on that dash line, and you would take the soil from above the dash line and you move it to where it's below the dash line. So you could very closely balance the soil on the site, fill in the depressions with the high points, and then create a more flat site to the building. So instead of having to come in and go up to the high point, you'd come in, you're still at the high point relative to the views and the adjacent properties, because you still have a 25, 30 foot drop off on the back, but we're able to sort of mitigate that grade transaction and transition. The last site is the library site, Branch Street. And the red, the site that we have to work with is sort of this area. Go back once. This is the library under construction, and that's the old parking lot. Now here's the library finished with the new parking lot, and then we extended that new parking lot with an additional parking lot to service the senior center. And the senior center is pretty much in the zone of the land that we were allocated, but the parking area is in addition to the library parking area, so that's sort of outside of the red zone, which is just a detail that we would have to work out with the town. What's nice about that is that you would get some shared opportunity when there might be an overflow event at the library, some evening or a weekend event. You would have a lot more spaces, and vice versa. If there was an event at the senior center, you'd have opportunity to house more cars than are necessary on a daily basis. So what we like about this is the relationship between the two buildings. It's not unusual if you come to the senior center that you might want to also go to the library. And there's a nice synergy that there's a nice big multi-purpose room in the senior center that may be of use to certain programs in the library at times. And there's some very nice rooms in the library. There's some small conference rooms. There's a book club room. There's some multi-purpose rooms that one could envision with a good scheduling program sharing those different uses. So there's a synergy in this scheme. And this sort of just shows a three-dimensional drawing of the senior center, the library, and you could get to one to the other without having to go into the parking lot or cross any roads, etc. Again, with the spirit of giving the building more frontage on the street, we tried to put the building here, which is right near the access road to the library. We made the library site larger, the parking lot larger. We have supplemental parking. This is a rather steep access road, so it's not the best place in the world to create the drop-off. And we're a little concerned, just so I want to point out, that again you have a building and an abutting neighborhood house there that's would have to think about if you chose this site. And then there's a nice big lawn area on the back side of the library. So here's your entry to the library. This is the back side. This is the entry road to the Housing Authority site. So it sort of puts the building in the land area, the front lawn of the library, sort of half on library, half on senior center site, and half a little bit on the Housing Authority site. So you'd have some issues to develop there. But again, this was the spirit of trying to give the senior center some nice frontage and a presence on the street. I think that the little editorial is it's sort of harder to get from here to the library. That sort of relationship of library senior center works a lot better when you're up on the parking lot level and when you're sort of at the lower level of the site there and the lower level of the library. So our traffic engineers did a traffic analysis of each opportunity, and there's a sort of synopsis I mentioned at Gate School there was a difficulty of that intersection, and some of the view corridors coming out of that opportunity to put some building up by the First Parish Church. You don't have the best view corridors exiting the site there. So it's a nicely traveled road, it's a safe road, but your view corridors are not great there. On New Kent Street, there's a minimal residential impact. So if you put a senior center there, it's not like a bunch of neighbors. You're going to feel that the neighborhood traffic is dramatically altered because that already happens to be a more commercial opportunity. We would need more parking spaces on that site because there's simply no overflow parking on that site at all. That's a virgin site, so you would want to make sure you got a good number of spaces there for your worst case condition. Countryway, it's very nice access, very well traveled road. The parking is a little bit tighter there, and on that site, that's a residential neighborhood. So if you bring this type of use into there, is that potentially an issue or not? And then Branch Street, it's sort of a nice site. There are sidewalks on Branch Street. All of them have the potential for the sloop to pick up and drop off at the sites. The library has this nice shared parking opportunity, so you can sort of reduce your parking requirements, and it's from a traffic perspective, sort of a nice opportunity. So I mentioned the public transportation. Currently, there's a 1 hour loop around town, so it's not all that convenient, but I'm sure that things could be developed. All 4 sites can be made to work with the bus system. Okay, I mentioned that Countryway, that Purple Dinosaur Park, doesn't have sewer, but other than that, all the sites have adequate utilities, electricity, gas, sewer. The water department was contacted by our civil engineers. There's no real impact on the water supply and the capacity of the water system in town, adding this building. So you need the septic at Countryway. At Gates, the sewer is on First Parish. So if we put the building on the backside of the site, you have the additional cost for longer sewer runs. And at Kent Street, New Kent Street, the sewer is on Old Kent Street. So the good news is a lot of communities are at their capacity for the sewers on Cape Cod, and here there's the sewer department indicated about this additional building. And then I mentioned each site has been looked at from a soil boring. Literally took a drill out there, and an engineer drilled holes in each site, took samples of the soil, and determined that each one of them has suitable soils for holding the building up, so it wouldn't be a surprise there. 85 Branch Street, you probably know from the library, it has a very high water table, so you would not want to put a basement in the building if you put it on the Branch Street library site. Countryway, I mentioned, you have soil, bedrock at 10 feet, and then Kent Street is a glacial site, and you just have to take some precautions during construction there, nothing out of the ordinary. So we had an independent cost estimator do an analysis of each site, and there's a number of things that go into what a cost is. You start with a construction cost, and you can see that just the pure construction costs sort of range in the 8.2, 8.3 up to 11 million, maybe even almost reaching 12. Now those include, when those numbers get higher, those collateral issues. So at Gates School, that number is including the track, the walking track, and the recreational field. At Purple Dinosaur, the cost includes relocating the park. And those numbers are all given to the Council on Aging and the Selectmen and the town. So if we want to refine these numbers and take those collateral impacts out, we can. Then you have to remember that there are other costs that go into a project: design fees, bonding costs, contingencies because we're very early. And what you get to is what's called the total project cost. That includes the construction cost of the building plus all of the other costs. And maybe this is an easier way to look at it. That when you put all those costs in, you have a project that ranges in the $10 million up to 13 for the more expensive sites. And again, why are those more expensive? Well, the utilities are further away. You have to demolish a wing of the school to put that in. You have to replace the playing field potentially. So there's other costs that go into that don't go into Countryway or into New Kent Street and into Branch Street. So I think when you look at these are quite in line with other communities that we've done in the last year. They're sort of a building of 15,000 square feet, as yours is programmed to, and the $10 million total project cost to be occupied in the next 2 years or so. This is sort of a pretty common range of numbers. So with that, if we can get the lights, we can open it up for questions. Thank you.